Hey everybody, it's Big Daddy. Hang on 1 second. I'm in the dark. We have bat problems. There are bats in this. Oh my God, I think it's okay. No, that was Captain Space Pants. No alarming there. That's the kitty, Captain Space Pants. 1 second, guys. Please share the show. I'll be at you in seconds. I got to get the lights turned on. Let me get a seat here. Boy, this podcasting is very difficult, Michael. Very difficult. Michael, I don't see you in the back office, by the way. Let me turn on my studio lights and hit the button. Boom. There we go. Hi, everybody. It's Big Daddy. Welcome to the Big Daddy Road Show. Let's see what Michael's saying. Going to be a little late, 15 minutes. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. I couldn't read that because I was in the damn dark. What's going on? How are you, Ricky? Good to see you. All right, Fro, did you get a link to the show? I think I sent it to you, buddy. If I didn't, hit me up in the chat right now before I get caught up in this show, because this show, Big Daddy's kind of like miffed about a couple things, and I did a little research and I got some stuff to share with you guys. So let's. I got my coffee. Look at this with my little Tupperware lids. Very professional at the studio here. And yeah, let me just bring you guys up to fashionably late works. That's cool. Let me just bring you guys up to date with the bat. Let me get rid of the graphics so you can see me. Okay, so last night we had all kinds of technical difficulties and tried to do a random show. And a bat, when I went live on the second attempt, when I redid the software, I thought a cat was playing with a big moth. No. It was a bat. So anyway, if you watched the show last night, you know that right before, my shows are programmed. This show you saw was programmed on Facebook hours ago. I don't really have options to just stop the show. I have to go live when I got to go live. If I don't go live within the first 10 minutes of the program show, Facebook and Be Live TV just kind of break it off. So it gets kind of crazy. But yeah, so I'm looking around and it's not a moth, it's a bat. And it's a cute little bugger. Here's what he looks like. And I'll tell you the story about how he's still here. Again, people were having fun in the chat last night and busting Big Daddy's chops. But this little guy come in, and I was able to corral him with a Scooby-Doo blanket that my daughter had years ago. And he was very tuckered out from flying around, just very distracting. I was going to try and do the show with him flying around, but then I can't focus because, I'm dodging bats. This is bat country. Anybody knows Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. So, I like Batman. I thought, oh, this is kind of cool. And yeah, so I corralled him, and then I had him in this little mesh kind of crate. But I knew that, if he really got his energy back, he could sneak out. And right at the end of the show, when I didn't even turn the show off properly, sure enough, I see a little thing on the floor. And he's tired because he was flying around the damn house. He's going in a box. So this is bringing you up to speed of what happened. He was trying to get in a box, a little box from UPS, a little tiny thing. I thought, oh, this is perfect. I'll shut the box, get him out of here. Well, I got him out of the studio, but he got out of the box. And he got in the front room, so I shut the door. And I couldn't find him. I don't know what he hid in. There's a couple things stored in there. And just about an hour ago, I had the studio door open, and he flew again. So anyway, I'm thinking about having my daughter open the door, because I don't know, at this point, I really think he's trying to get on the show, and I don't want to. Oh, that's Captain Space Pants, the kitty, playing the guitar again. I don't want to not give this bat his big chance at fame being on the Big Daddy Road Show. So at the end of the show, after we talk about SpaceForce, Vice President Pence, he made the big announcement that by 2020 they want to have that implemented. And I was wondering what you guys thought about SpaceForce. What's your thoughts on it? Initially, I'm thinking, no, No. Even Captain Space Pants is getting in on the show tonight. Yeah, I was thinking, no way. Let me bring this. Let's see, is my camera working, guys? Hey, John, you got thoughts? Cool. I'd love to see them in the chat. We'll get them on the screen. I have thoughts too. And I was talking to Grower X. You guys know, Grower X. He's the big cannabis farmer. And we got to talking about homelessness. And it's just something that bothers me, homelessness. And of course, veterans. I'm always supporting veterans. And then, of course, I hear that there's veterans that are homeless. And then pops up on a screen on my Twitter and on my social media that Pence here, goes live from the Pentagon to discuss President Trump's implementation of the SpaceForce. So, immediately I'm like, what the heck's going on up there in space? Are we having what are we battling up there? What is it, Battlestar Galactica all of a sudden? So I did a little research. And I don't know. Now I'm on the fence. The way they pitched it at the Pentagon was, that modern warfare and whatnots. I mean, this is what I want to talk about. First topic tonight, homelessness. Second topic, a subtopic, but the Space Force is the first topic. So if you guys have any opinions, if you want to put some hashtags in the comments, Space Force, if you want to tell your friends about this show. This one's about what I really think is like wasteful spending. But again, I went to the video. There's a couple of good videos where you could hear what I would call the pitch at the Pentagon, and what they're saying is that like China shot down one of their own satellites, I guess with a rocket of some sort, or I don't want to say laser technology, but maybe a laser guided. Anyway, they were selling it like, they could shoot our satellites out of the sky. And let me look at some chat here. Okay, I'm good now, John. Good. Hunter killer satellites that can disable or with precision strikes. Yeah, that's what they were kind of leaning to. That our military uses a lot of satellites. And let me see. I got some graphics to share. Some of the things they said, and basically, it's Trump has reignited this National Space Council. So I guess it was defunct for a while. We've had it before, or it's been there, but they haven't really been doing much. And Pence was at the Pentagon saying things like this. They're still looking to unlock the mysteries of outer space. And they're looking to restore the leadership in space. Hashtag Donald Trump. So what the Space Force will do is add a sixth branch of the U.S. military. Now, I'm all pro-military. And, so their report today was like, they had gotten a report, General Mattis, I believe. Well, I like General Mattis. Shout out to him. He was given a job to put together a report, and I guess that's what this was today at the Pentagon. But initially, I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. We got homeless veterans. We got veterans not being cared for. We have homeless Americans. And I heard the number to the tune of $8 billion for Space Force. And I'm thinking $8 billion. You could feed a lot of kids with that. You could probably house a lot of people that are homeless, or at least get programs where the people that don't have like issues, mental disorders and stuff, you could certainly help a lot of people. Grower X was telling me that out west, there are single bedroom apartments going for like $1,700 a month. $1,700 a month. And I guess my logic is that back in the day, John and Michael and Ricky and anybody else who's going to watch this show, welcome to the Big Daddy Road Show, by the way. My logic is that back in the day, families were bigger. People had 6 kids, 7 kids. And throughout life, if people had a hard time, you might be able to like lean on a family member and move back in with them. But apparently, a lot of the Californians left California with buckets of money in their pocket, jacked up the pricing of housing, and a lot of people just working average jobs were pushed to the outer limits of the city. And rather than move, which is kind of shocking to me, I'm like, why didn't they find another place in the country, where rent wasn't? But still, who wants to leave their hometown? Anyway, apparently, a lot of people were forced. Good people were forced from their homes, couldn't afford the crazy rents, working at, I don't know, Taco Bell, whatever. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. So I want to talk about SpaceForce. I want your opinions on, is it pork spending? Is it crony? Corporate friendship? Is it lobbying for jobs for your friends in the tech world? Or do you legitimately think, what are your thoughts on SpaceForce? That's what the whole idea of this show is. And then as I learn more about it, I'll try to bring people up to speed. I'm a big fan of Elon Musk. This is a guy who's doing things in the private sector, doing a bang-up job, wants to go to Mars. And yeah, the whole thing that got me kind of crazy is the fact that I know that there's tent cities all over the country. And I found this map online, and you can kind of see, if you look closely, that there's quite a few pins on the map. But I got to tell you, I think this picture's old, because I know there's a tent city in our city of Hazleton, Pennsylvania. We've been hearing about it for years. I've never been out there. It's too depressing for me to even go out there, but I'm tempted to see if a few of my friends want to try and go out there and see if any veterans are out there and bring them something, because it just ticks me off. But I found that and found some, actually Michael, who's coming on the show a little late. He's fashionably late tonight. He's going to talk about this with me as well. But it just seems wrong to me that in 2018 that we can't figure out our politics. We can't figure out to work together. We can't figure out just how to have a better life for each other in America. But I'm old school. So, yeah, I'm a little bit behind in chat. I don't know if the chat's still working. I think I'd better reboot. Let me reboot this show and see if we can get the chat moving again. Okay, so we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Okay, John says the Space Force is going to take away the U.S. Air Force. Right. Okay, John, this is interesting because that's what I found in my research. That we do have people that are working on space-related items, satellites. Military has satellites up there. Let's go on and read some more. So it'll take it off of their hands and create a new agency to oversee the operation in space so that the Air Force can concentrate on military aspects and not civilian. Okay, all right. So, but it's still a military branch. And again, I'm not against it. I guess where I'm at, John, is where's the $8 billion coming from? Maybe the tariffs and all that. I don't know. Again, I never pretend to know. I just love to have these conversations. You go on to say the reality of the real Space Force coming into fruition isn't going to happen soon. The homeless situation is the simplest of facts. We have to work together. Yeah, wouldn't that be wonderful? But that just doesn't seem to be modern America, does it? I don't know if that's less people going to church or I don't get it. So as not to get this show too depressing, there are some graphics that I found on the internet searching Space Force. And here's the physicist Tyson. He says, Space Force? You mean gravity? And then, of course, there's some fun ones of Trump. Some memes, some cartoons. And I thought they were funny, so I thought I'd share them with you. Like I said, Michael's due to be coming live. Oh, there he is. He's setting up his camera now, getting his hair all pretty. Look at you. Fix your shirt. Pull your shirt down, Michael. Michael's in the back office. We're going to give him the time to get himself sorted. He's flexing his muscles. Him and I, this is passion for him and I to talk about the veterans in our armed services. So if you give me a thumbs up, Michael, we'll get rid of some of these graphics and we'll get you live and see if we can hear you and keep this conversation going. We're talking about Space Force. Yes or no? Pro or con? What are your thoughts? Hook us up. Share the show. You guys should be share. You should be pounding the share button right now. And coming live right now is Michael Dunson out of the Atlanta, Georgia area. Hi, Michael. What's going on? You're live.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on?
What's going on, Michael? Did you have a fun weekend?
Last weekend, yeah. Spent the time with, of course, my daughter and
you know, I just realized how many days went by like a blister. And we were talking about how you keep your weekends to your family and your significant other. And between my therapy and just this week flew by. So, yeah, I'm thinking it's like not Thursday night. I don't know why.
Yeah, you said last weekend. I was like, what?
Yeah, probably because of the bat problems I'm having. I'm having bat problems in the studio.
Is he in there still?
He's not in the studio, but he's in the building. And I was trying to explain in the beginning of the show, I'll just recap in case people came late. He was, like I said, he was tuckered out. So we had him contained. And I did mention on the show that there was a slight chance that he might have been able to get out of my little containment. And right at the end of the show, I didn't even turn the show off properly because I heard him kind of scratching over there. And I thought, oh, he's probably trying to get out. I better end the show. Here I didn't push the button to end the show properly. So my apologies. If you look at that show from yesterday, there is a gap. But I do come live at the very end and apologize and explain more about the bat situation. So what happened was he was on the floor. There happened to be a UPS box from a delivery from a microphone that I ordered for the Big Daddy Roadshow. And he was going into the box. It was like fate. I was like, this is great. He's going to actually recapture himself. No, because there was stuff by the box. As I moved the pieces, he flew out again. I was like, son of a bitch. He flew out of the studio door into another room in this empty property. My building is empty next to my house, okay? So now my friends are telling me, well, just leave him in that room, but get in there and open the windows. He'll fly out on his own. And this is where I thought he flew out on his own. No, he did not. He decided to keep residence here in the building. And about an hour ago, he had come fluttering in here, and I was like, here we go again. But he flew out. I shut the door. Then I kind of snuck out through the laundry room and got my coffee for the show. Here I am. And Michael, really quick, I told my daughter to look out for an email. And what I'm going to try and do at the end, after we have this talk about homelessness and veterans and Space Force, I told her to kind of sneak in and open the doors in hopes that he would literally come in. And then at the end of the show, everybody will see I'm not, making this up. Like there is literally a bat in the building. And I don't know, it seems like he just wants to stay. Maybe I want to just keep him as a family pet now. I don't know.
I need proof. It looks like you made a friend.
Yeah, I don't know. And he seems like, out there now it's all dark. But when he come in here and then he got out, I turned the light out because I don't know if they're attracted to light. They go out at night. So I have no idea.
If you throw an object up in the air, it will follow it down.
Say again?
If you throw like an object up in the air in front of it, it will dive down at it.
No, you know what I was doing? I was waving. I had this like paper packaging, and I was waving this, and he kind of like made it turn. Like I guess his sonar was like, I don't know. I was kind of like trying to direct it away from me. And on the third attempt, he flew out the door. I got up, and anyway, my daughter's freaking out. Of course, she doesn't even want to come over here to open the doors. But at the very end, hey, Carla, how are you? We're talking about the bat. At the end of the show, I'm going to open up the studio door again and hope that the light attracts him. And then you'll see me flipping out. It'll be a great ending to a cool show. Talking about Space Force, everybody. Michael, what's your take on Space Force?
Well, Well, what's the first question here? Everybody's always debatable about, did we go to the moon?
Don't even go there because Kevin, no, not Kevin, Jack Neary from Shot at Jack Sports is going to come on and do a whole show on that. He doesn't think we went to the moon. So
I don't either, because
okay, so
there's a layer of our atmosphere that would totally fry the human body, and I don't think we can even get past that.
are we talking about the Van Allen belt, maybe?
Yes. Yep.
That thing's a tricky little son of a bitch, that Van Allen belt.
But that's so embarrassing if we did tape that and just to beat Russia to the moon.
Yeah, but again, I want to believe. It's like God. I want to believe. Period. So I believe.
So the Space Force, I mean, I just see it's going to be an office full of, smart guys just observing what's going on up there. I mean, what are we going to do? Try to land on Mars? We're going to try to live on another planet or something? I don't understand what their focus and what their plans are going to be. Do you have any idea?
Well, that's the whole point of it, putting this show together today. Is that I'm like, okay, great. We are going to do all these things that promise us something 30 and 50 and 100 years from now. And to a degree, yeah, I want to put some of my eggs in that basket. But I don't think we should be going to Mars until we can really care for our citizens on Earth right now. What's the point of going somewhere else to make it better when we could literally just make it friggin', I mean, $8 billion, you ought to be able to do a lot of good things with that. If you look around our country, our infrastructure, our bridges, I mean, our cities don't look like other modern cities in the world. Why? Why?
I just think we are getting a little overpopulated in some regions. Our food, trying to produce the food, the cows, the chickens, the produce and things like that, keeping that in line with our population as it's going. But I think the whole just Space Force is just a show, oh, look at us, we have a Space Force. It almost seems like we, live in outer space. We don't. It's just, yeah, it's just for looks.
Well, General Mattis was on the video I watched from the Pentagon when Vice President Pence mentioned it. And I don't know. I mean, it's weird. I went into it thinking this is horseshit. This is just another. It's like pork barrel spending. It's going to be more big corporations lobbying our government to get our tax dollars. Everybody I know, which I know most of the people I know are average Joes. Right? They're average everyday Americans. I know a couple big shots, but most people are average. And when I talked to Grower X about he's painting these pictures of out west in Oregon and Washington. These tent cities are very big. Like it's not, and if anybody's seen California now, California gets a lot of political heat for homelessness. And what did they do recently? They're banning straws, and I don't know. Yeah, they're banning straws, and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, the plastic thing and the trash, that's a big deal. How about the pipeline that went through the Indian reservation? That's a big deal. That leaked. But the homelessness in America, I just think like, what? I mean, politicians are just like, yeah, we're okay, it exists, but we're not going to look over there. But everybody in the damn cities sees it. Anybody living in I'm just saying, like, where did our conscience get to? Like, I mean, are we now? That's. I don't want to say that there's not probably tons of people trying to help these people. Grower X was giving an example of what he does. He has the cannabis farm, but he grows everything else too. He's a real horticulturist, and he grows cucumbers and tomatoes. He grows the tomatoes like 1 pounders, they're like watermelons. And what he does is he'll take a lot of that food because he grows way more than he needs, and he'll leave it at laundromats, and he will literally go and hang out with the veterans, which is what part of the conversation got me thinking about this. Is he said, yeah, a lot of those guys are veterans. And then it got me to thinking about your conversation with me about how a lot of guys have a hard time anyway acclimating back to normal civilizations. And he mentioned that this one tent city was nearly all comprised of veterans. And he said too, here's what he said that was interesting. He said, now these were not no pokey tents. These were like Army grade tents. These guys were out there doing their thing as if they were Army somewhere in the world, if that makes sense. But
Are we
Do they
Are
have
we
people?
switching? Are we switching to the homeless subject, or you want to stay on the Space Force a little bit because
I
I have a
mean, no,
lot
they're
going on.
intertwined. The whole point of intertwining them is because it's going to be 8 billion supposedly, and of course, if it's 8 billion said today, that means by the time 2020 comes around, it'll be probably something close to $20.2 trillion. That's my guess. It won't come in as 8 billion.
Well, Trump has done a little bit to help. He gave us the largest raise that we've ever acquired. We didn't even get one last year for disability. So he gave us, I think it was like a 2%. He also is trying to put a lot of money into the VA, but I believe Pelosi put a stop to that, so it's hard to get that money going in. And the homeless people down here, if you're caught feeding them and stuff, you'll be fine.
Why?
That's just the law down here. It's
But,
ridiculous.
okay, so at least you think it's ridiculous. John
You don't
says,
have to, oh, sorry.
no, John in chat says, give the elected officials the blame for the homelessness issues. The people supposed to work for us are simply lining their damn pockets. That's what he says.
Well, the issue down here is also, I mean, you have your homeless vets that really need the care, but then you also do have a population who is taking advantage of it, your addicts and things like that, who just keep coming in the circle. I can tell you the whole process if you'd like.
Yeah, why not? I mean, just so everybody knows, Michael, you did do your time with the U.S. Army. John, in the chat, you were also U.S. Army, if I'm correct. So we do have, we have some guests that know about military life a little bit. So, and Michael here, you are a researcher, and you and I talk about this kind of stuff all the time. So if people in the audience want to question what you're about to say, you could get them links to the information and
Absolutely. And I lived it, so this is all what I went through as well.
Okay, so go ahead, give us a rundown.
All right, so coming out of the military, you're not even told that you can go to the VA and get these claims and even help you out. So as I had a hard time acclimating back to being a citizen with my depression, PTSD, and things like that, I started using to cope with that. My mom helped actually did the research and find that I could actually go to the VA. So starting there, I went there. Just to see my main primary doctor was a 6-month appointment. But thanks to the new law that Trump put out, you can, if it's more than 3 months, you can go an outside care. But the backup here is just terrible. So let's say I am a homeless veteran. Some of us are mainly, alcoholics, things like that. They will put you into a healthcare, but you have to actually have a disability percent to even get into these classes for free. And then they'll hook you up. There's only 2 halfway houses for you to go to, and they are the bottom of the scum like houses. I mean, it is just terrible. And they'll pay for up to 4 weeks, and then you have to self-pay after that. Another facility they have called the Dom. So Fort McPherson shut down, and the city sold it all to who's an actor down here that's really rich. He plays the female.
Excuse me? Plays the female.
He's a director now, and he used to play like the female crazy African American woman. Why
do I not know this? Let's go to the chat, guys. Do you know the movie he's talking about? Maybe I missed that one.
Yeah, he does a lot of movies.
I know.
Tyler Perry.
Okay, I'm old. I don't even know who Tyler Perry is. I was thinking Mrs. Doubtfire. Robin Williams, I know, passed away, so God bless him. And no offense to Tyler Perry. Go ahead.
The city sold 3/4 of this whole military base to Tyler Perry for his studios, which they only have a little bit of section to bring in maybe like 40 vets at a time and give them 3 months to build up and get you a house and everything. They do have a HUD-VASH program, which they'll give you a voucher, which is pretty much all Section 8 housing. It takes a couple months to get into, but you can only make so much income. So it's $14,000 a year. If you make
what area are you specifically talking about now? And do all the states in the union have these operations? I mean, obviously,
this is speaking for Atlanta only.
Okay, well, that might not help everybody listening, but you would think that law where after 3 months, if you're not what do you tell me that law that was changed with Trump, that if you, after 3 months, you were able to go to private practices? Is
So
that
let's
what,
say you come in and you need an appointment for whatever's going on with you, and if they don't have anything within 3 months, you can go to an outside doctor to seek that help. But I mean, it really takes like 2, 3 months, sometimes 4 months, just to see a doctor to see what's going on with you.
well, just got bad news for you. You know, I'm switching my doctor with my back situation, and I called for my appointment on the 23rd of this month, just about 2 months ago. So even on the civilian side, it's not like it was. You don't just pick up a phone and everybody accepts your insurance and all that. It just doesn't work that way. American medicine, much like, and this is the point of the show, is that everything seems like it's broken and it's not running efficiently. And then, whoops, let's start a SpaceForce. And, you know, it's just like everything seems to be haphazardly thrown together. And then, meanwhile, there's tent cities that are huge with civilians and veterans. And again, I guess it's state and city by city, state by state. I guess some cities and states handle it better than others. And I guess that's the way it should be. But it's nice, it's comforting to know that your options are opened up to you. It's also comforting to me that you have options to go to school and that you have, I mean, how would you rate your care between your PTSDs and how long have you been, since you've been out, how long has it been that you're out?
I got out in 2012, and I'm still I go once a week to a therapist. But I did all kind of PTSD classes, CBT, cognitive thinking, all kind of resources. And I mean, it's little by little that I'm learning. But it took me, what, 13 months just to get my disability claim.
Okay, so that 13 months, when did you apply for that?
So about 2014, I did the paperwork, but you have to do all these appointments and exams, and the paperwork, I mean, it just takes so long. I mean, it took 13 months, but they do back pay you from the day you put in your claim, so that's good.
All right, here's John from the U.S. Marines. I'm sorry, John, my bad. I didn't realize. I have so many veteran friends. I can't remember who's in what service. John says, I served in the early 90s. VA is the same, never changes. Seems the housing allowance didn't change much either. If it wasn't for my ability to choose and go private health care, he says, I met the requirements. Closest VA is well over 20 miles away. Was that the bat or was that a...
I've seen it. I've seen the bat.
No, that's a moth. That's an actual moth.
Oh,
but did you see me freak out? Did everybody? Okay, that's coming later. We're going to open the door and hope he comes in. But Jesus Christ, you see, I'm having PTSDs from the bat attack last night.
Now, I will give it to the VA. They do have things. You can go to vocational rehabilitation where they'll pay for your classes. They'll help you, get the training that you need to find some kind of job. But then again, you still need so much percentage of disability. So I make 70% with one child and I only get $1,400 a month. But to get up to 100%, you can make $3,400, but you won't be able to work anymore.
John asked the question, how did you get so lucky? He waited for years. It sounds like you waited for years too.
Because I did it as soon as I got out, because the hardest thing is finding all your medical history. They got to, go to all the bases that you went to, all the red tape to get through. Did you serve, all this? I mean, they got to collect all that.
Let me ask you this, though. So what's the difference between a guy like you and John and the people that are homeless? I mean, if they have housing offers, what do you think, what's going on there? Are these guys that are the kind of personalities, they get fed up of going through the hoops and the red tape? And
we had a guy recently set himself on fire because he kept just going in the circle. He actually died from all the burns that he had in the hospital. But I mean, he just got so fed up with all it's just so much BS that you have to go through and get all this done. And a lot of people, when you're going to do all this, you don't have nowhere to live, and it takes months and months to do this. I mean, you end up, a lot of people are, drug using. I mean, they're just depressed. They don't know how to handle this. So, I mean, they can't even make it to these appointments sometimes, and they're so far out. Things happen. I mean, it's just hard for these veterans to go in there and get the help they need. We had one guy went in and tried to get help, and they denied him, went out and shot himself. I mean, 22 veterans die a day. I mean, from killing themselves, suicide.
Yeah, that sadly is something that anybody like me and you that follow this knows. So in some cases, it might not be all on the side of the VA hospitals or the professionals in the service and systems in place. It could be that some people are just really bad off. If they get involved in the heavy drugs, now you're dealing with a whole other basket of fruit here. This is apples and oranges. You're not just somebody. And then you said you had problems, but you worked your way through them, and thank God you got past all that.
Yeah, so if you're having addiction problems, I mean, they're going to want to fix that first before they even touch, on your depression, PTSD, because it's hard to tell that when you're using your mental state, as in what your mental state is when you're sober. So you're going to get all that fixed out, get clean for 3 months before they even start talking to you about, other health care.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine. John saying it can crush you emotionally and physically. Look, I'm on a civilian side, and my back and constantly going to the doctors. And I did not. I had lost insurance. I had to get insurance, and I'm on temporary insurance. It's a real pain in the ass, and yeah, it is depressing. My point, and this is the point. Winding. If you're just joining us, we're talking about SpaceForce. I intertwined it with homelessness and homelessness problems in America. And obviously, a big portion of the homeless in America are veterans. That kind of bums me out. And I question SpaceForce and spending any kind of money on, like you said, going to Mars, going to the moon. Now, it seems like Mars is a private thing now with Elon Musk's, well, it's partly private because you probably got to imagine he's getting grants from the government too for this, saving payload fees and all that. It costs a lot of money to lift a satellite to space. So he's a private company, but he's probably funded greatly by tax dollars at some point, right? Because he's working on contracts for the government too. But I just wonder why we're always aiming at the future. Like, let's make the future 30 years, 50 years. And that's suspect to me because it makes me think that there's some people that just want to make money getting all these big government contracts.
And that's all it is. That's what makes me so mad is when the city sold pretty much all the base to Tyler Perry when they could have had that base just to bring homeless people in, give them the classes. They're in a structured place. They can't leave, get them clean, help them out because they can only help about 40 veterans, coming into this program. And there's thousands of them that need help. There's a waiting list.
What base was this that they now what did you're saying the city?
Yeah, so it's Fort McPherson. It's in Atlanta. And the city sold, yes, 3/4 of it to Tyler Perry.
Okay, but let's take it. When did it shut down, the base?
Several years ago. I don't know the exact date.
So I imagine it was federal property. You're saying the feds just gave it to the city?
Yes, and then the city sold it.
And the city sold it probably for tax dollars, for revenue, because everybody's looking for the income because they need to run their cities too, right? Again, right. I'm just guessing, but that seems like it's okay. So government gives up the property. City has city council meeting, says, hey, we got this Tyler Perry guy. He needs to photograph and do a studio thing. The government says, hey, give us a little slice. We'll take care of veterans. You're saying, hey, wait a minute. That was housing for service people to begin with. We could have just kept everything. Even if the homeless veterans, hey, what if the homeless retired veterans got to take it over and maintain it and let civilians in there too that were homeless? I mean, there's all kinds of really creative ways you could probably fix some of these things.
Yeah, and the buildings there are all made out of bricks and stone. I mean, there's very good structures. They did rebuild 1 or 3 buildings to help out veterans, and they're very nice. And there's a hospital right there on the base as well. But they're going to do 40 vets at a time.
I don't know. Do you know any stats like how many vets are homeless?
I think I sent you a graph.
You sent me a bunch of files that weren't capable of going on the software. I think because they were They weren't JPEGs, and my software doesn't. This show software doesn't pick up the other ones, so I don't know. I was able to get. This was the one that you sent me. I'll show everybody the picture you sent me, and this is the kind of stuff that just gets me. This to me shouldn't be. Here's a picture of a guy holding a sign, and of course my bifocals. Will I be able to read it? Probably not. But it's basically a veteran with his dog in a very sad situation. And I think it says something to the effect of homeless, vet, and hungry. And I'm thinking in 2018, there's so many things that I question where we put our money. And you were talking about like earlier on the show how you think it's overpopulation and trying to feed everybody. I don't think we have a problem with feeding everybody. I think we throw out more food in this country daily. We could feed everybody if we tried. Here's another picture.
There's a program out there where they're actually trying to take, restaurants that throw all their foods away and everything like that to package them up and give them to the homeless. I forgot what it's called, but it just started up. But those are great ideas. We throw away so much food. It's ridiculous.
Right. But like you alluded to, that even if you now you're on the civilian side. If there are some places in this country where if you tried to continuously feed homeless people, you could be fined or arrested. That to me just doesn't seem American to me, because the whole point about the way I was raised was to care for your neighbors. And I know it sounds cliche and borderline like, oh, Big Daddy, get with the times. But people seem to, at least in my area back in the day, they cared more for each other. That's just the way I was. That's the kind of communities I was raised in. And now I see where our politicians don't even seem to care. They're more worried about the next big, SpaceForce. And again, what I said earlier was, how about we have a feed a veteran force? How about we have a homeless veteran housing force? How about we get feed our children force? Here's a picture of a young kid. Could you imagine this is your life? I know it's happening out there. I know there are people living in cars. I mean, I'm not living under a rock.
It's crazy driving around the city here. I take the bus everywhere. And it's crazy how many people you see just sleeping and living up under the highway bridges, in the woods. I mean, stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, they're just sleeping on benches. It's crazy. I couldn't imagine that lifestyle.
Here's a picture of a kid walking through just an enormous pile of tents. Now, just like the veterans, a young kid shouldn't have to deal with that. Like you got, and again, you and I talked about our childhood. We didn't come from the rich side of the tracks, but we had the roof over our head. And to me, it's just mine. And then again, I'm not going to say that drug issue isn't a big problem. I'm also not going to say that mental health issues aren't a problem. But even still, those people somehow, if we could afford to have a Space Force, and if we could afford to push towards Mars, to study if there's water for the next 30 years, or ice crystals or something, like, come on, take a small slice of that pie. And
I know Trump tried to put billions into the VA, but Pelosi put a stop to that, and they're still fighting over that in Congress.
You say Pelosi put.
That was it was like a month ago, and I don't have the specifics. I wish I would have wrote that down and gave it to you, but I know that did happen, and it hasn't passed yet.
The only reason I'm saying that, Michael, is because I want to put this new political talk show together, and I don't want to start putting things out there without backing it up. So if anybody has any questions for Michael, get with me. We'll get you what he's talking about, because we also had Gleb Sierpowski from the University of Ohio who has a truth movement. And I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. I'm just saying that I know that people are going to hit me up in the message box going, that guy's out of his mind. Trump's an asshole. And Pelosi didn't do that. And when we say things like that on the Big Daddy Roadshow, I'd like to at least have you on the ready to defend what you're saying. I don't watch enough news. I find the news depressing. I think the talking heads on the news are full of crap, and they're just reading from a teleprompter the same as everybody else around the country. I do want to get to the chat quick. John says, funny thing, I want to point out is a ton of internet videos are up about Tyler Perry and him supposedly giving away cash on Facebook. Yeah,
Tyler Perry, he put a video out that he was saying that is all fraud. He's not doing that, and he's put a stop to that. But yeah, all that was just fraud and fake stuff.
right, but John goes on to say, wouldn't it be cool if he actually did the right thing and actually did give some of that back to those who need help, right in his backyard? Well, who's to say he's not? Number one, John, and number two, it wasn't. If that's what the city decided to do with this land that was dropped on them by the U.S. government, I don't know. I just think that here's the big thing about any city government that drives me crazy. It's always increasing the budget. The budgets never get a whole idea of a budget is to have a budget. You and I have to have it. I have to have it. That's why I asked for people to donate $1 to this show on Patreon, for Christ's sake. I'm paying, finally, by the way, thanks to you and a few other people, not many, by the way. So shout out to anybody who's ready to drop $1 for the Big Daddy Roadshow. Finally, you guys are paying for one of my monthly costs, which is the hosting of the actual website, which is where I post all my videos after the show.
And speaking of all that money, I mean, you know how much Congress and all them people up there in the White House, they all get paid yearly, and then they get paid after they're done with their job. I mean, it's hundreds and thousands. I think 450,000 it is.
Yeah, but that's a good old boy network, kid. I mean, they're not gonna vote themselves out of a raise. So the only way you're gonna fix that is by having more people get involved. You remind me of John Adams, the second president, who, I just had such respect for that guy because he was a farmer and he went and did the big job in Washington. And then he went back to the farm. He went back to being a regular civilian. Like, he cared to work for the government, work for the people, but he didn't do this. Okay, now we're sort of going spidering off, but big things for me is campaign finance reform and limited terms. These lifer politicians, they get in the greasy machine, the ugly machine that is lobbying, and I'll vote for your pork, you'll vote for my pork. It's not serving every citizen, it's serving a select few. So, and then of course they get on news and they show like they're caring for X, Y, and Z, and they show a cute little picture for a few minutes. But really, you just said you're driving on the city bus every day, and what you're seeing is shocking. And I'm not from a big city. I'm from a smaller city, an old coal community area, which transferred from big coal to basically manufacturing and distribution. We're right on Route 80 and 81, right where the major highways crisscross. So our area is filled with manufacturing, not as much manufacturing either, but there's some manufacturing. And a lot of distribution. I think it's Amazon has a big center out there. A couple of my friends are working at. But by the way, Ashley says my brother is brilliant. Just wanted you to know that.
I love her.
John says, again, John's hot in the chat. He says president's about $450K. Average congressional salary is about $275K for life. Speaker gets more, majority and minority leaders, nothing under $150K a year for life, term limits now. Yeah, and the other thing on top of it is most of those guys are millionaires before they even run for office, because the average Joe cannot afford to run for office. You can't afford, unless you're
everything.
You can't. The average person can't. Hi, Lori Faraday. How are you? Good to see you. So if you're just joining us, this show is all over the place, but it's really not. We're talking about homelessness in America, homeless veterans. We're talking about SpaceForce because, our friend, our president, and again, I have all the respect in the world for the seat of the presidency. You're about to see on my new political show I'm putting together. I'm not totally down with anything any of the parties say. I'm a centralist, and this is what I'm always preaching on my show is like, people come together. And I always joke I sound like John Lennon, but Jesus, like, we could do better here.
Trump donates his president's salary. Some of it actually goes to the military and veterans and stuff.
Listen, I think you'd have to be a fool not to see that President Trump is pro-military. And I like my president to be pro-military because I am pro-military. So I'm even a little bit on shaky ground just bitching about SpaceForce. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that I'm not totally against it, because maybe a SpaceForce, like you said, alleviates the Air Force. So now they can do their job more effectively. We definitely know in today's technology that satellites and stuff probably save our troops' lives. There's a lot of technology we have. So yes, a lot of what I heard from the Pentagon about them saying about how, in modern warfare, countries like China that blew up their own satellite, maybe kind of sending that little subtle signal like, we are capable, folks. We can blast your satellites right out of the sky. And all the other, what would it be called, where they have impulse technology or lasers? They can, what's the whole thing where they can knock a grid out and they can knock a whole energy grid out and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well now, and I think it's EMP. I know what you're talking about, but now everything is drones. I mean, a guy just sitting in a little cubby hole flying a drone that can go into a window of a house and just blow up or, shoot something. I mean, it's becoming so technology.
I can remember my brother, who's now retired, full bird colonel in the U.S. Marine Corps, was definitely involved in the technology sector. I can remember his career starting at Parris Island. I can remember it going through NORAD in Colorado, and he had tours in Japan twice, and then he finished up, I believe, at Camp Pendleton. And I can remember through the years as this technology evolved, I remember actually bringing that up where I had heard that, there's like flying toasters that can not only fly into a building, but like blow into a building. And can really cause a lot of trouble for you if you're having, a family dinner, which remind me of like the Revolutionary War times when, we attacked the British when they were having their holiday dinner and kind of threw a cannonball through the dining hall. Warfare is always advancing. Guys, I'm trying to keep up with the chat. I couldn't even read Stephanie's. Folks, if you can keep your comments just a little shorter, it's easier for me to keep up with. But
also, I want to give a shout out to any veteran out there or anyone that knows a veteran. If you have any questions and need help getting through all the red tape and paperwork, please message me. I do have a lot of experience in that area, and I will help you out. I help my friends get claims and everything. So,
wait, Michael, lean up in your chair because Lori Faraday is writing a paragraph, and so we can still see each other. Guys, I'm not busting your chops, but try to keep your comments. You see what happens? We're hidden. I don't know. I definitely want to share the comments, though. And I know, Lori, you didn't forget about me. I just spoke with a guy today, Michael, named Tom. He's going to come on the show and talk about business. And if you're an entrepreneur and you want to learn how to tell your story better and get your message across, he's coming on the show. You can see some new people in the chat. Stephanie, she's coming on the show to talk about this might be something your friends in the service might want to hear about, is service animals, service dogs, cats. I seen a service pony today. I said, Stephanie, I want a pony. Like, I've always wanted horses, right? I've always loved horses. It just didn't end up in my life's line, at least not yet. But I didn't want them to ride. I wanted to just kind of have one or two, just kind of walking around doing horse things,
Yeah, the overhead on a horse is pretty expensive.
Yeah, that was the other reason why I pretty much gave up that. Like, if I want to see a horse, I just usually go down to a friend's house. They have a horse. I bring in apples and stuff. Yeah, that way I get to enjoy the horse, but not have to care for the horse.
You can't put the image of me in my Class A's up.
There's a lot. What?
The image of me in my Class A's, I think you can't send that up, put that out.
Well, I don't know where they are. Where are they?
I sent it to you in your inbox.
Oh yeah, well you must have sent that one late, or was it a ping file or I don't know. Look at me. I tried.
I gotta figure that out.
Yeah, well I can tell you straight up, you need JPEGs for this software. Get me JPEGs. Anyway, the chat is flying by. Stephanie, let's see. She stipend retirement money from the. Oh, she wants to see retirement money from the senators and representatives. Should be given to areas that have more need. They need to lock up the definition of servant in public servant. Yeah, exactly. That's why I was mentioning President Adams. They went, all the books I read on the history of Adams and stuff, for these guys, Jefferson, again, they locked horns politically too. But in the end, they really cared about America. Like they wanted, and they went through some crazy times, which here we go, 2018. I think we're going through crazy times right now. We're at the beginning of some seriously crazy times right now.
If you look it up, Obama's family, they became so rich just over the presidency.
Well, how would they not? As soon as you get out, if I was president, what's the first thing I'm going to be doing at the end of my term, especially if I'm lame duck president, or if I know I'm not going to win, my terms are up, I did the 8 years, I'm going to write a book and sell 100 million copies around the world. And I'm not, listen,
how much Hillary gets paid just to show up and speak?
You and me should get paid to show up and speak.
I know. At least they're speaking the truth.
Pay me $100. Not that expensive. Listen, that's what I'm getting at. It's like, what's right, what's not right. We are living in some weird times, when you got, but it all comes down to that almighty dollar. And again, I've had what I thought I was rich. When I had my career before my back got hurt, I got to tell you something. I thought I was rich. I worked my ass off day and night. I built my own buildings. But I loved that. As a matter of fact, if you could fix my back, and I was talking to the therapist today, they said they have like really small, non-invasive surgery now. I'm like, yes, please get me that. The less invasive laser surgery, they still put you under. I want to roll the dice, doc. If the cannabis and the CBD oil doesn't work, that's what the whole new doctor thing is about, because I want to get back to work.
How did your therapy go?
It went horrible because I had a new girl and she made me do exercises that I do all the time on good days. I told her, you're going to hurt me. I'm still doing good. Could be the CBD oil. Not sure to explain that yet, but I want to give it a month or two. But she didn't crush me, but I still have to wake up tomorrow, Michael, and see if I can walk.
So you're still taking your doses every day?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, my God, yeah. And I think actually, like I said, I feel better. I mean, even on the show, you see, I seem like I'm getting my ball busty Big Daddy back. You know what I'm saying?
I see it.
And summer was rough last month. But anyway, boy, the chat is going. You guys are going nuts in the chat. I can't even keep up with the chat. That's cool. I did not get the cream yet. Wait, let's not get the CBD oil. I'm going to report on that tomorrow. But back at the, what were we talking about? Trump and, Adams and people. It was Stephanie's comment about how putting the public servant back in the political, like they don't seem like public servants to me. They're going to get up there and say, oh, yeah, we're serving our constituents. But boy, it seems like they got sub rosa. You know what sub rosa means?
No.
Under the table. Yeah. Sub rosa means under the table. So if you ever hear the term sub rosa, that's like a little, hey, we'll meet you in the back and we'll talk about this. There's something under the table I want to, I'll hook you up if you vote for this. I know it's ridiculous. I know America doesn't need it, but I need it. And I got a guy who needs it. And I got a friend that made a lot of donations to my campaign. Campaign finance reform, people get it, because it's crazy.
If we weren't so divided, people don't understand that we could come together and we can actually make these changes happen. Just if the whole United States didn't buy gas for a day, or if we, boycotted this or that, we can actually make changes if we weren't so divided.
Yeah, and isn't it ironic, the old saying, united we stand, divided we fall. Hence my positive political talk show I want to put together, where I get the people back and forth. I have a plan to explain to anybody willing to be on the show that if they're foaming at the mouth, I'll drop them. I'll have alternates in the green room. You know what the software's green room is like. Mm-hmm. I could bring people up, drop them. And if they get too crazy, I could just drop them all together. But they'll know this going in, that the whole goal is to have a civil conversation where we are literally enough of this left and right. And listen, the extreme fringes, there's nothing we can do to help those people. But the majority of the people, you can't tell me in this country don't wake up and just want to know that if I do bust my balls and I work hard, that I got a shot. And I feel bad for some of the young kids today, and certainly these young service people that are coming back from serving their country and they're living in a goddamn tent city. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to say, let's maybe do Space Force, but can we also, as we're having the announcement for Space Force, can we also say we're going to start something across the country where we're going to get people from living underneath the bridges, and we're going to find out who needs health care and who has mental problems. And we're going to do something for them instead of just constantly well, they live under the bridge or they live in the woods. They're in the woods way deep out in the back.
I was shocked how left these colleges are. The one that I went to, Summer's graduation, the main speaker, all he spoke of was Obama. He's like, my president, Obama. He was a war veteran, and all he kept speaking about is just Obama. And it was just amazing how leftist this school was. I mean, it was shocking.
Yeah, I think the data is out in that regard that most universities, not all, but a lot of college campuses are left in thinking. And I don't have a problem with left thinking. I have a problem with extreme left thinking. Wait, let me finish. Just like I have a problem with extreme right thinking.
Yeah.
I don't think that's America. I think we need to go forward, and I think we were evolving forward for a good period there. And I'm not saying we were perfect, but we were inching positive. And in the last couple of years, it just seems like, well, that shit hit the fan. And again, I see points on each side, but I see a lot of people that get video time that just have their ideological angle, and it's their foot is firmly in concrete and they are not budging. So their just brains are locked into one way of thinking, and extreme thinking locked into one way of thinking is not a logical way to be. Times are changing. Look around. People are homeless. Your neighbors are homeless. Do you care? I personally think not enough people care. And then even if we did care, what do we do? But what are the leaders supposed to be doing? The leaders are supposed to be focusing on everything for the community, and not out of this world with Space Force. Like, are you shitting me? We got major problems in this country. So yeah, do your Space Force. Shit, we have black ops. Did it even need to be open to the, you know what I'm saying? Did we need to have it be what it is?
Have you found out what the Space Force objective is?
Yeah, they it sounds to me like they want to monitor they're afraid of modern warfare. It sounds to me that I'll tell you, like, again, I'm ad-libbing here, but basically they said, back when Germany was starting their whole big, when they were taking over the European Union, we had a very small Air Force. And then they said leaders back then realized what was coming, and they built the Air Force. And a year or two later, boom, we had a way bigger Air Force. So they're trying to say, well, back in the day, things changed, and now things are changing, and it's a modern world. It makes sense. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that why don't we put as much effort into making our cities more modern, our bridges more modern, which would, by the way, give a lot of people jobs. I don't think you and I are going to get a job, an average Joe, unless you are in the high end security or tech world. I don't think average Joes are going to benefit from Space Force.
No.
However, if you have local communities fixing their infrastructure, yeah, a lot of guys can mix concrete. If I had a good spine, hey, pay me. I'll help build a friggin' bridge.
Well, Obama has done that. He has raised the, unemployment's down to the lowest. Our economy is at its highest. I think he's doing a good job on that, though. But the Space Force, yeah, it's just ridiculous spending. Do you believe in aliens?
I do believe in aliens, actually. No, I'm only kidding. Actually, I want to believe. I love aliens. I have a tattoo on my arm with an alien, for crying out loud. I like alien stories.
And the world is just too vast and open with galaxies, infinity. I believe that is happening as well. But I think they'll come observe us and be like, well, this life form will just kill itself. We can just wait it out. Don't even have to invade us.
I think there's alien life forms in the universe, but I don't think that they might be what we think they are. We assume it has to be like us. Um, I think it could just be like a weird bug or something. By the way, if my daughter's still watching, go ahead, open the doors. Let's see if we can get the bat in, because I'm not going to keep talking about this all night. But the basic question of this show is: are you pro? Are you for Space Force, or are you against Space Force? This is what I want to see in the comments. We could certainly come back and talk about it. It's not going to go away. I'm sure it's not going to go away. But you were asking like what the program was about, and I did have some things on the graphics. It's the sixth branch of the military. Michael, turn your volume down a little bit. I'm hearing feedback.
I did.
Or whatever you just did there. And they came out with a report at the Pentagon today for concrete steps for the new program. They did mention it's not from scratch because, like you said, the U.S. Air Force is obviously handling some of this technology stuff with space and I guess protecting satellites and all that. But the big thing is restoring leadership in space. But what is that? That's just like some political line that they say. And
the chair force just needs something to do, and it's just us looking good. I think that's all it is. Oh, look, they're going to go take over the space. It's like taking over a country. All we got left now to take over is the space. And so I just think it's just for looking good.
Yeah, and even the whole colonizing of Mars and stuff. Yeah, that's a great thing for that once in a million chance of Armageddon and that big comet coming or something, or something that would just be a cataclysmic event. But the odds of that, right? I mean, for even a boulder the size of New Jersey floating through space, we're trying to think of the vastness of space. The odds of it hitting our trajectory is pretty slim. It could happen. It has happened. We've seen but I don't know if it's going to be cataclysmic. And if it is, well, guess what? We've survived some pretty good hits on this planet. You can see the craters around the world. They exist. You can go and tour them and stand on top of them.
Do you know what it would take to colonize Mars? I mean, the atmosphere, the water, having to redo the dirt to become grass. Like, it's insane. It would be thousands and thousands of years.
I don't know what it'll be, but bottom line is all I'm saying, my whole point of this show from my perspective is to ask people yes or no to Space Force. How do you feel about this homelessness situation? Are our leaders like Stephanie and John saying, are they really being public servants today? Are they really public servants? Yes, you can call your senator and congressman and maybe they're going to get you some funding to your area. But I don't know. I just think that they're in bed with some. I think they're making some votes where it's just hooking up their friends, and that's
Do you think they might be weaponizing satellites and things around our atmosphere? Maybe.
How the hell do I know? I don't know. I have no idea what we need. For all we know, government officials know that there are some key satellites we have that are in jeopardy. And maybe they have some black op toasters, like you said, instead of drones that float around on Earth. Maybe they have space drones. Because that's the other thing I was reading. They're not talking about putting like Buck Rogers in space. They're talking about like drone technology and I guess things that would monitor our satellites and maybe be able to defend. I have no idea. I was trying to find
these days. Who knows what they're going to be doing in the space? I mean, the Space Force allows them to weaponize. In the space.
I guess where I'm getting at is I think, and this is going to be, and then I'll go to chat and we'll finish up because like I told you, I wanted my my shows to be shortened a little bit, but I want to send my daughter a message, see if we can get this door opened, see if the bat will come in, because that was kind of crazy. He is in the building, I know that, but she just.
Are you going to section it off where like you'll stop a show and then start another one?
No. If the bat comes in, I'm going to finish the show freaking out with a bat flying around.
I got to see it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It'll be fun, but it's also like a. Oh, here she is right now. She's like, I'm about to go to bed now. Okay, open it up. Now she's freaking out when I send her this message. because she doesn't even want to have nothing to do with even opening the laundry room door and then opening my studio door. So you're going to hear the door crack open, and you're going to hear a kid that's 14 running like hell, shutting the door for the laundry room. Okay, I just sent her a message.
The Batman sign.
I just sent her a message that says "Open it," and so at any time now, will he show up? I don't know. I could. Okay, I think we're back. I don't know, Michael. I lost Michael in the back office. Sorry, folks. Yeah. Okay, guys, just so you know, last night, if you didn't catch the show, we had a bat in the studio. We thought we were able to get rid of it, but it got out of a box. Long story short, he's still in the building. I've opened the door to the studio, and I'm hoping that it'll fly around so you guys can see that I'm not batshit crazy. This is not just crazy talk here. We're talking on this show about SpaceForce, though. I don't know what happened, Ashley. I have no idea. You know how the software goes bonky once in a while. And yeah, Batman. Batman Returns tonight. You love bats, Ashley? Check it out. Well, again, I have no idea if it's nested somewhere on a curtain or something, but the door's open. And we had left it in a room with the door shut. We're going to see if I don't know. I'm just going to finish up because I have a few more things to explain about Speed Racer, number 32 Speed Racer is going back to the track. It's not in his car, but I'm just waiting for this bat to fly in at any time. Michael's trying to get reconnected with the show. Michael, your camera is sideways, just so you know. If you could turn your camera, and I'll give you a heads up. But yeah, so will the bat come before the end of this show? We're going to wind it down now. We're talking about homelessness. I'm talking about budgets and pork spending and SpaceForce. And do you think what do you think about SpaceForce? What do you think about it? That's what we're asking on tonight's show. If you could please share the show, if you could like the show, if you can get the word out about the show. Michael, why is your camera crooked? Can you turn your phone? I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I'll give Michael a chance to, well, maybe we'll just bring him live crooked. Can you hear me, Michael? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Maybe Michael's not hearing me. Anyway, while Michael's getting ready and getting sorted, I want to bring up number 32 Speed Racer. He's going to be driving the number 27 car tomorrow night. It's a 4-cylinder racing series. You know, he's been on the show, and you know I'm trying to support him. I've been trying to get him friends to help get his car. Here's a picture of his car. It is well on its way. This is not a 4-cylinder. On the lower left of your screen, that is an 8-cylinder. And it's a badass looking ride. I've been in the garage. The motor's in. It needs a few more things, and he'll be back racing in his car. He had a bad accident. He had turned 3. I believe it was at, sorry, I was reacting to my kitty there. Any kind of crazy noises, and I'm going to be thinking it's a bat attack any second. But number 32 Speed Racer, his car is down below. It still needs a little work. If anybody wants to help him, wants to be a sponsor of that 32 car. But one of his friends in racing is offering his 4-cylinder car for Keith to race. So basically, Keith's getting a loaner of a race car, and he's going to be racing I believe it's Friday night, 8 o'clock. Practice starts at 6 o'clock if you're local. And let me see, I think I just lost. Yep, Michael, I lost you. So if you want to come back and help me finish up the show, please do. But and if somebody in the chat could let me know if you guys can still hear me, because now I'm starting to get concerned about the software. But won't let you in. You were in, Michael. Just an FYI. I will reboot the show. And if we can't get you back, I'll reboot it right now. Guys, just hang tough 1 second. Big Daddy will be back. This is the Big Daddy Roadshow. Please hit the like and share button. And if you haven't already, consider hitting me up on Patreon for $1 or more a month pledge for the show. We are pledging to go until January 2019, but from that point on, we're going to need some sponsors or the help of our followers. It's up to you guys if you want the show to keep going. Let me reboot, see if we can get Michael back. Let's see. John, okay, so chat's still working. Ashley says she can still hear me. And Michael, my guest, says it won't let him in. Michael, you were in and it popped out. And you're back, but there you go. That's the right angle. Michael's back. Okay, let's see if we can get Michael back. We don't have to Okay, we lost Michael. Michael, I think the problem's on your end, my friend. But anyway, there's Speed Racer number 32, hashtag Speed Racer. Big Daddy Roadshow race car driver Keith St. Clair. He is he's well on his way getting his car back on the track, but not quite yet. And he needs some help. So any locals in the Hazleton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area wants to help a diehard racer get his car on the track, get in touch with Keith. He was supposed to visit the show, but I guess he got tied up. But on the far right of your screen, number 27, he's going to be racing that for a racing friend. So Keith will be in another car, the number 27 car, and we'll let you know how he's making out. I just like to follow Keith's career because the guy puts a lot of work into it and really has supported the Big Daddy Roadshow consistently, like a rock star. And yeah, so I'm loyal. Go Keith in the number 27 car. All right, so Michael, here we go. Let's see what we get to. We can bring you back. And okay, first of all, you're live now, Michael.
Yeah, see, it shows me live. I don't see your video. I can't hear you or anything.
We got bigger. You can't
try to reboot it.
You can't hear me? Okay, that's the right angle, just so you know. Can you hear me or no, Michael? No? All right, folks, we're going to reboot the show. We'll see what we can do. Keep calm and just talk to me. I'll be right back, and we'll finish up. This is the Big Daddy Roadshow. We're talking about SpaceForce. What do you think? Are you into it or not into it? Are you supporting it? Why? If you don't, why? And also, what do you think of this homeless problem and homeless veterans, and just fellow Americans being homeless? It doesn't seem right to me. Seems like we could move the pies and the money around a little better and do a better job, but that's just me. All right, you can hear me now, Michael? No, Michael can hear me. Michael, your angle is crooked. I'm going to bring it back one more time without rebooting. There you go. Now you got it.
It's acting. Sorry about that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
It's like a Verizon commercial on the Big Daddy Roadshow. Can you hear me now? Okay, so in summary, let's see. Everybody's saying they can hear us, so that's a good thing. So I didn't really get to see. Everybody had comments about like John's deal with being a U.S. Marine and trying to get aid and stuff. And we've had other people give their opinion about public servants and whatnot. But I haven't really heard yes or no. Pro, are you for? What I want to see in the chat is, are they for SpaceForce? And if so, why? And if they're not, again, why?
Yeah, can you let us know how you feel about the SpaceForce?
And if you love your service people and troops, how about giving a shout out to the chat for the troops? God bless America. And Air Force, Army, who is it? Who else? Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, Merchant Marines, and now SpaceForce. Who knows? Maybe my 14-year-old will join the SpaceForce. Wouldn't I have to eat crow if that happened? But again, I think that's where I'd want to be going forward, is the technology sector, and that's where I'd want to be. But
And please share these videos, guys. I mean, I really want to reach out to other veterans. I think I could really help a lot of people. And I mean, we talk about great stuff here, and I really want to reach out to the world. So please share.
yeah, and let me just tell you that one of the young ladies was in the chat tonight. She's coming on a show. I just talked to a guy right before the bat attack tonight, which, by the way, no sign of the bat.
That's good.
So I don't know if he's just perched somewhere in the dark, but I hope he comes in. I think that would be a great ending to the Big Daddy Roadshow tonight. But we have some
That's a bad sign calling them in.
We have some interesting guests coming. The young lady in the chat today, she's going to be coming on and talking about service animals. So, and there's 3 different kinds of service animals, she tells me, and I won't go into the details now, but this was an interesting picture, and this is why I was joking that I wanted a pony, was because I didn't realize, she sent me, how you sent me pictures for tonight's show? She sent me pictures for her show. And when I saw this, I'm like, wait a second, that guy, I thought that was like a big dog, but it's not. It's a pony. So apparently there's service ponies. And, everybody loves animals on this show, and it'll be fun to sit and talk with her. She's a college graduate, PhD. She knows her business about service dogs and service animals. She's written a book, but it's not in book form yet. If you follow that show, you'll be able to get a copy of her book. And it explains all about service dogs, the different types of service dogs, what it entails, how much it costs I can't believe how much it costs for a trainer to, there are dogs that big. Yes, there are, but that is not a dog. That was a pony, actually. So yeah, so check out that show. And again, like Michael said, share the Big Daddy Road Show. I'm not kidding you when I tell you, I got some pretty good heavy hitters coming. Most of my problems, Michael, are people they don't have the right equipment, or their fancy cell phone doesn't connect with the software. But it's what I got. I got to work with this BeLive TV software. It works for 90% of the people. But that's right, John, $25K or so for a good service dog. And just a little teaser, some of these service animals can be taught up to 200 commands. My father trained professional champion Doberman pinschers back in the 70s and early 80s. And those dogs were well trained. I definitely didn't see dogs doing 200 commands. So I can understand how it takes $25K.
And if I can get in a moment, they're actually introducing service animals to vets with PTSD and depression. It helps with the loneliness. It actually helps a lot. And I'd love to get one, but they are very expensive.
Yeah, Stephanie's going to come on and talk about that. She did in our little preliminary conversation. She said, yeah, she was talking about, she went back and, to World War I and II, where they had service dogs. And that's what I'm saying. This show is not just going to be about one particular kind of animal service dog. She's going to cover it all. And she's very passionate about it. And of course, she's a lover of animals. So yeah.
You should see the dogs we use for war. Jumping out and parachuting with them. They're always one rank above whoever their handler was. That way they're always taking care of the best. But I mean, those dogs were just amazing.
Yeah, I was telling her on a vacation to Maine. I went to Old Orchard Beach, Maine years ago. And we had gotten a suite. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Old Orchard Beach, Maine, but it's like going back to the 50s. And the suite was like a cabin. It was a big room. That was the suite. We kind of laughed about it. It wasn't like a Las Vegas suite that I've had, but still, it was just kind of funny that they sold it like a suite. It was still nice, very rustic, and we're not fancy. We come from the poor side of the track, so we were cool with it. But the one cool thing about that trip was the service German Shepherds, Dobermans, and some other breed that I wasn't even aware of, right outside the deck, right off the beach, and a big field right across from my morning cup of coffee. These guys showed up around 7 in the morning with all these obstacles. And for 3 or 4 hours, I watched professional dog handlers that teach these service dogs do crazy stuff. And I was like, whoa, I couldn't believe what some of these German Shepherds were doing. But yeah, so I'm pretty excited to talk to her. I like animals. I like, I don't have the patience. Like, I don't have the patience to teach my dog to roll over. I don't have the patience.
It's crazy what the dogs will do for anxiety, PTSD, and depression. I mean, they see you in this mood and they'll come up to you, just start loving on you, you know, getting your attention if you're having a panic attack. I mean, they'll sit there beside you and help you through it. I'm trying to get one myself, but like I said, it's kind of in trial mode, and they're pretty expensive.
Yeah, and that's it. We're not going to tease you anymore, but look out for that show. That show's coming. That's in the pipeline. Of course, we got some celebrities coming back, some new ones, some old ones. But folks, this is my last 6 months to push, so I'm not. I feel like a preacher now, but if you can, hook us up on Patreon. It's up to you guys, and if you can't, hook us up on Patreon, because trust me, I know things are tight. Share the show. I had to get rid of trolls on the fan page. I need people to add, you know, logical thinkers, and just keep growing that fan page. And if you guys didn't hear about this, this was interesting. Ian Punnett came on the Big Daddy Roadshow group page and got involved in the political when I'm casting. I have a casting call for that new political show. He was famous on Coast to Coast Radio on a show called Coast to Coast with George Norrie. He was the fill-in host. He was like the Joan Rivers to Johnny Carson. He was the main host whenever the main stars of the show went on vacation, which they took extensive vacations. The show ran, I think it ran nightly, coast to coast, the worldwide, the Coast to Coast show. And he was on the Big Daddy Road Show, and he sent me a couple private messages asking me about the political show. So I don't know if he's willing to come and talk politics, but it would be an honor to have Ian Punnett on. I mean, this is a guy who's a major broadcaster. I just thought it was interesting, and I keep telling you people, I know people are watching the Big Daddy Road Show, and I know I have to hone it and get it more polished. And if you go to Patreon, you'll see my goals. I'm not looking to just get money. I'm looking to produce a better show. So, Michael, you were on there, and you donated way more than I thought you should. But thank you. And already now I have one of my bills paid for. And
I believe in you know, supporting and donating to something that's good for people for life. I mean, you do great things with this show. You're not on here. I mean, you're giving out real good information, and I believe everyone should invest in this.
I still wish I had your answers. I wanted to answer your question about, but I will put the link up to the actual 20-minute video with Vice President Pence talking about the objectives. But basically, it's just getting a presence in space, protecting our hardware up there, and basically protecting our security, because I guess those satellites up there are big deals with the service industry, you know?
Well, I mean, for our communication, for the guys out in the, you know, war, or they're out anywhere. I mean, we use those satellite links to talk to us, to talk to everybody. They're very needed. And just for phones, you know, internet, everything. I mean, we need those satellites.
Right. Could you imagine? Oh, my God, we wouldn't even have our Facebook if we probably lost some satellites. I mean, oh, my God, people would lose their mind. They would lose their mind. But yeah, here's the graphic for America Divided 2018 BDRS. It's a spin on a political talk show where the people coming on from the left and the right. Ironically, I thought I would have Republicans right out of the gate. I have Democrats. I have a good list of Democrats. I need Republicans, but I also need people to come on a show and, yes, get a little heated, but within reason. But the stickler is you got to say something positive too, about your neighbors, about your fellow Americans. You can't just come on foaming at the mouth, all negative, negative, negative. It's got to have a little inkling of positivity on all sides of these constant negative debates I see on Facebook. And, you know, Michael, I seen the president's plane land in Wilkes-Barre, PA, the local news station, and I was watching their live feed on Facebook, and the chat was like, I hope that plane crashes. And I'm like, what? Like, they want Air Force, like, what? Look, I get you not liking the politics, but seriously?
There's people on that plane.
That is the opposite of what I want on my show. I don't want that kind of thinking, you know, because that is not even thinking. That's ideological concrete in your brain. You're just stuck on one way of thinking. Meet in the middle, America. That's where the sweet spot is. That's where the the tasty part of the watermelon is. That's where we can really move forward and be beneficial for the majority. Because if we keep going the way we're going, oh, I hate to be a prophet, but shit's going to get ugly. And when it does, I'm going to say, I told you so. And that's the only reason I'm doing shows like this, is so that in 1,000 years, somebody will say, oh, that bald guy who didn't seem that bright, he kind of did have a couple common sense statements. He was onto something there. I'm just warning people. But also,
this is definitely a time for us to all come together. And I believe this show promotes that.
And support your troops. But there's a lot of people that are adamant they're not supporting the troops, but support your troops.
A lot of people do, though.
I know they do, but they take it out on our service people when the ones they really need to take it out on are the leaders who are, like Stephanie alluded to, are servants of the people. So take it out on them. Go to the next public meeting. Vote them out. Campaign finance reform, term limits. Get on it, people. We keep talking about it, but we don't get it done. You want things to get better? Get better people to run for office and make it to where average, everyday people that really care about the country can afford to run for these key positions. There you go. That's my 5-pound opinion, and I know it's worth as much as everybody else's, but that's mine. And I'd love to hear yours in the chat. Guys, I will keep up with the chat after the show. Apparently the bat, of course, will not fly in here on cue. Let's see. I gave a shout out to the Speed Racer, hashtag number 32 Speed Racer. I haven't seen Uncle Bruno live in a while. He's watching. I'll tell you what he's watching. He's watching my friend Kevin in Texas on his show called The Grind. If you haven't checked it out, Kevin's a member of the Big Daddy Roadshow group page. If you're into motorcycles, they got a really cool show where an average, everyday, one-stall garage lover of motorcycles is building a really rocking, like, monster motorcycle in a competition up against the professional bike builders, like the national TV stars. So if you haven't checked it out, go see The Grind. Tell Kevin Big Daddy sent you. Hashtag BDRS in their chat and just let them know where they came from. Hey, check it out. Donald Trump is tweeting about the Big Daddy Roadshow. Didn't see that coming. Not going to lie. Did not see that coming. Even the Trumpsters. Now let's go through and just end on a light note. Folks, we're just kind of giving you some opinions that maybe we can get together and help each other a little bit better. But now we'll go to some of those memes. What was the one you sent me? It was a service person who, I don't know what the hell is on his face, but it says the first VA claim from SpaceForce. And it looks like it has some kind of alien creature on.
You ever seen Alien versus Predators?
I have, but years ago. Is that what that is?
Those are little aliens that get on your face, and then they put the eggs inside of the human, and the alien breaks out of the human. So it's just
a long time. Yeah. My idea of I checked out. By the way, there's a Netflix tip for you. The Lost in Space series on Netflix. If you give it a little time, it's okay. I really like the actors in it. The villain.
I watched it all.
Yeah. What'd you think of it?
I thought it was pretty good. I think it was kind of like a spinoff from that movie. Was it Lost in Space, where the whole family goes up and they get lost in space with a robot? I mean, it's kind of a spinoff.
Oh, that's exactly what it was. That was what the movie was made for. Here's the tattoo. Did you ever see it? There's robot right there. That's the old-fashioned Lost in Space robot tattoo.
Nice.
Yeah. I've been a big fan of Lost in Space, so it was completely different. They switched the doctor role to a female role, which is, I thought, pretty cool. And she is a villain. The girl that plays the doctor, she plays a villain really good. I don't know her name, but yeah, Lost in Space, Netflix. There's a tip for you. If you like I think the graphics and the whole set, all the things they created for the Land Rover and the spaceships are cool as hell. So I give them props for just making a really cool, what seemed to be believable.
And if you can't afford this Netflix and stuff, you can go to showbox.apk and download that. It can be an app on your phone or a computer or whatever, and you can get free movies, TV shows, everything. But that's just coming from me.
Okay. And if you can't afford it, but you can throw Big Daddy $1 on Patreon, you can come and hang out with Big Daddy in the studio as long as you don't mind bats. You can just come and watch my Netflix with me. Yeah.
I need to come visit you for a week or so.
Yeah, do that. That'd be cool. Because actually, that was the other thing I was thinking about. Remember how you came on the show last week and you were just talking. You were just talking about the different things veterans go through and some of the things you have to deal with PTSDs and stuff like that. You know, if you're willing to, if we can get a professional to come on a show, I thought it would be cool at least once or twice a month to just maybe start a seed of an idea for a specific show on the Big Daddy Road Show where you and I will host just a talk for veterans. Just a talk. But I would like to have a professional because I certainly am not I'm not a professional host. I'm not a professional anything. Well, that's not true. I know photography. There I'm a professional. I'm a card carrying, you know, accredited, award winning. I got the plaques on the wall from art school, from Temple University as a teacher. But so I know photography, but everything else, this is just a talk show. And this is what I hope people like about it. It's just people talking and it's just ideas. And the chat, when it is like tonight, fantastic, keeping it rolling, people having really cool new information, taking us down other ways of thinking. But you really made me, I was thinking about that too. And then that's why I got upset when Grower X started to talk about these 10 cities. And then he mentioned how he takes like his vegetables. And then a lot of the guys and women were homeless veterans. I still cared about the other homeless citizens, but it bothers me. There should be some kind of speed track for all these people. There should be aid for these people. There should be somewhere for these Americans to go. And then the other thing in closing up is it just bothers me that we'll be on national news. They're gonna push some new program years from now that's going to spend $8 billion that God knows where that money's coming from. But maybe take half of that. Still do SpaceForce, but do it with half of it and take the other $4 billion and do something for the homeless people. That's all I'm saying. Like, I guess I'm just advocating for the homeless people because God knows they're not on Facebook right now, right?
Yeah, and I'll post a link about where Trump did put money in for the VA and the Pelosi thing. I'll post that when we're done.
I'm sure he did. But I mean, let's face it, Trump's not really exactly a poor boy, is he? So it's not like, I applaud him for doing that. And I applaud him for some of the things and programs he's doing. And yes, I love that he supports the troops. It's so cool to have a commander in chief that really, really has, like, you could tell when they come to a base, you could see it in the troops' eyes when a commander in chief, you know what I'm saying?
When he's saluting them well, I mean, he respects them.
It's just a morale booster when you're, you know, anyway. So that offer's on the table. If you have other friends that are they just want to talk, you and I can maybe produce that at least once a month. That'd be kind of cool. And then I could just keep the conversations moving, but really it would just be more, and I could even leave the screen and you could just talk to your other veterans. It just gives them an outlet online. And then other people, if they are afraid to come live or they're intimidated to come live, at least they can watch their fellow service people talk about these serious problems, help come up with ways. You know, maybe you're going to educate a service person on a fast track way to get to the benefits and to get the help that they need. And maybe you'll save one from doing the horrible thing that's going on.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm reaching out for the veterans.
I know you are. All right, Michael, thank you for being part of this show. I'm going to hold you to it. Yes or no, SpaceForce? What do you think? No. I think what you should do, in all honesty, just to be a fair host of the show, go and check out the video of Pence. Listen to what Mattis is saying, because like John alluded to in the chat, Mattis seems like a straight up, he's another kind of, if I was in the military, I would like Mattis as my leader.
I like him.
Yeah. So I think that if he's rooting for, in other words, if he thinks that the future requires a Space Force, I
mean, the protection of our satellites, though, is a really big thing. I mean, it could knock out all our communication.
Good night, Ashley. I'm just looking at some of the chat. Yeah, exactly. And if they knock out our communication, I mean, they could cause havoc way more than just for the military. So if we get attacked at some level in space and satellites, it could really screw up
our economy, everything.
Exactly. Business and a fragile economy that's already in certain parts of the country. But anyway, so that's it. That's my take is I'm on the fence. I'm joking about it. I'll make fun of it a little bit. I just think that we should really, really focus on caring about our neighbors and also going back to old school in some ways. In closing, I went to the therapist today and I had to wait for my ride. And as I waited for my ride, I did a little study as people were walking by to the different businesses in the building. And I wanted to see how many people were just saying hello and who was smiling. And about 8 people passed me in about 35 minutes. Some had kids. And 3 of the people smiled and said hello. About 5 of them kind of just walked by with their heads down. And one of them, I called her a chatty Cathy like me. We actually had some really cool conversation over about a 10 to 15 minute period. Both of us engaged in dialogue, and we didn't know each other from a hill of beans. So I just thought that was interesting. It just seems like back in the day, more people used to wave at each other. Now everybody's giving each other the finger. They're stressed out on the highway. They're stressed out at work. I don't know. I just think that slowly we got to turn the ship around and get back to old school values and ways. And I think we can. I really do. So
I do that on my bus rides. I mean, people just look so depressed and sad. And I always try to, speak to someone. Hey, how you doing? And the drivers, hey, thank you very much. Show appreciation, show love.
Right. Gratitude. Exactly. All right, Michael, thanks for being on the Big Daddy Roadshow. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Get with me with any ideas you have for helping the veterans. I'm all ears. Okay.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it. Okay. There goes Michael. I'll finish up with the chat. I'll also spend a little time at the end of this show putting different chat up. I know I missed a lot of it. I will check it after the show. A couple more graphics and a couple more. Again, I'm casting calling for the new political show. You're just going to have to see the first show to understand what I'm going for. But if anybody's willing, I'm willing to explain personally how this show is going to go down. I think I have a good idea on how to run it. It will get heated, but if people get too cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, I'll drop them, let them cool off. They have the ability to come back. But everybody that comes on needs to have something positive. There has to be something on both sides of the political arena that both sides can agree on positively, right? It has to. It can't be just I hate this side and I hate your side and you hate my side. It can't be that. So, yeah, I'm getting the message. I think the veteran show would be amazing. Yeah, I do too. So let's work on that, Michael. And again, if you haven't answered in the chat below, please consider the question today. SpaceForce, who's in? Are you in? Are you going to sign up? Are you ready to jet up and protect outer space? And I'm assuming it's the satellite area. The modern technology warfare, that's what they're pitching that we need to combat against. And yeah, I'd really love to hear what you think about that. Again, Keith St. Clair, hopefully back on the racetrack. He's a big member of the Big Daddy Roadshow. We asked him to come on tonight, but he's probably busy working on a race car. So let's see. Do I have everything? Let's see. No bat. The door's still open. There's no bat attack. Watch and see. He'll be in right after this show is turned off. And it looks like John was talking about Mattis being an outstanding man. Thanks, John, for all the comments. I appreciate it. Please spread the word. Tell some friends. Get some people watching the Big Daddy Roadshow. Alicia, nice to see you again. One of the garage girls down in Atlanta. Carla, good to see you. I know you're going to sleep. You have work tomorrow. Appreciate all the posts you're making on the Big Daddy Roadshow. And Stephanie, who's coming on the show pretty soon, probably within the next week or so. And we're going to talk about service animals. I think that's going to be a cool show. Lori Faraday, good to see you. We got some new names in the chat. That's fantastic. That's it. I'll put some posts to Patreon if anybody can afford $1 or $2. Every dollar adds up. We appreciate it. We're going to try and get some new equipment for the road show, some new software. And I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. This is the Big Daddy Roadshow. And coming up, regular season, we're going to try and be pretty consistent with our Friday night free-for-all shows. And we're going to produce a couple shows called Real Talk with Big Daddy, where I'll be wearing a nice shirt and look all fancy and stuff, and interview more professional people, authors of books, professors, things like that. So now you know. You didn't know, but now you know. But I had to come live today and talk about SpaceForce. I don't know. First I thought it was like, what's going on up there? Is it like a big war zone? But no, apparently it's just kind of keeping up with technology and potential attacks, cyber attacks, and people shooting down our key satellites. So, yeah, I think I touched damn near all the graphics, which is kind of cool. I had a lot of pictures to share with you guys, and I think I got them all. I'll put a few comics up at the end here. And I will tell you too, keep your eye out for the quick report tomorrow on the CBD oil for my back pain. If anybody's looking to look into different ways to combat your pain, I will be doing report number 3, and we're going on like day 8 and 9, and I think I'm getting something out of it. So I really do, and I'm testing it. So like I'm actually trying to do more work. I'm going to start working on the duck pond, and I'm going to report the truth. If I end up laying flat again, well, then maybe I get a little relief from oil, but it's not curing anything. But I'm hoping for a cure. I'm hoping to get healthy, and that's what those reports are about. So lastly, sponsors are welcome for the season coming up. Please get in touch with me. If you would like to be a sponsor of the Big Daddy Roadshow, I think you're going to find the prices are pretty fair. We'd love to have you on board. And let's see. Lastly, Patreon. If you can afford it, I'll put the link to the Patreon account. You can sponsor the show either via PayPal or Patreon, $1 or more a month, automated. You won't even see it leaving your account. Real Talk with Big Daddy, that's coming back. Look out for those shows. And let's close it up with just sending good vibes to anybody out there that's like having hard times. Let's try to take care of our veterans. Let's say a prayer for our veterans. Let's support our veterans and our troops, and try to take care of our neighbors a little better. This is Big Daddy. We appreciate you watching. And like I said, I'll put a few graphics as I shut down the show. Have a good night, everybody. Have a good night, and please share the show. Hit the share button. Okay, somebody wants you for SpaceForce. SpaceForce. I have to go and try and catch a bat. I'll see you guys next show. Peace.